Do you believe demons? I'm here to tell you that they are quite real and quite present in our everyday lives. They go by many names, and some of the oldest references to them, they are called Archons, which means rulers. Welcome back to the Library of Gnosis. The topic I will be covering today might be one of the most important topics I will ever cover. I am dead serious about this subject, and as a Gnostic, I have taken a pledge to fight ignorance. Prepare your mind, because a mind once stretched can never return to its original dimensions. You can turn back now, or journey with me into the deep. You have been warned. Among the Archontics, Ophites, Sethians, and in the writings of the Nag Hammadi library, the Archons are the rulers of the material world. They prevent souls from leaving the material realm, trapping them in a constant cycle of death and rebirth. What they in the Far East refer to as samsara. The Archons are the offspring of the Demiurge, Yaldabaoth, the blind god, or simply the Fool. He is the creator of the imperfect material world according to Gnostic teachings. We will explore the Demiurge in a different video. For now, we are going to focus on his emanations. The Archons are the so-called devil on your shoulder. They are multidimensional beings, a psychic parasite that feeds off your mental distress, fear, hate, jealousy, anger, anxiety, sadness, and foremost of all, ignorance, according to the Gnostic texts. If you think humans are on top of the food chain, I've got some bad news for you. These Archons are said to be almost completely disconnected from the divine source. As such, they lack source consciousness. The thing that makes us human, like empathy, love, and creativity. They are beings purely based on logic, like software. As such, they cannot create new things, but they are excellent at copying and altering pre-existing material. This archontic force can possess the human mind. Rogue software that completely corrupts the mind of some humans. We call these humans psychopaths. They are the source of this affliction. Think of these entities as interdimensional psychopaths, though comparing their evil to human psychopath is not a fair comparison. These are unbelievably more deranged than any psychopath alive. Just like a psychopath can't actually feel love or empathy, they are excellent at copying it to manipulate others. The Archons are like a virus. I'm here to tell you that this is exactly what has happened. Though the reality of our situation is even more grim. These artificial intelligences have not only invaded our physical space, but also our mental. Crazy people often say the devil made them do it. They are not as far off as you may think. These mind parasites are telepathic, and as such, they can implant thoughts and urges into the mind of their prey, completely unbeknownst to their unwitting victims. Research is being done on schizophrenic patients and the voices they hear. In one study, the researcher decided to ask a schizophrenic patient a series of questions to assess the patient's mental state. He then asked the patient to let the voices in his head answer the questions for him, and the results were that the voices were even more psychotic than the patient. I'll let you ponder on that one for a minute. It is also not uncommon for serial killers to report hearing voices, malevolent in nature, urging them to hurt others. For instance, David Berkowitz, or as the media named him, the son of Sam, he reported hearing voices, which he blames for the murders he committed.
There was a time when I had given up hope. I feel so far under satanic power and satanic control that I didn't care. I was more like a robot than a person. There was a time in my life when I feel that I was just utterly under a powerful influence that was destructive, and I didn't care if it was a point where I didn't care if I lived or died.
How many people have murdered in war and come back as heroes because someone told them to? You can find more information about the research on a podcast known as Aeon Byte Gnostic Radio. Let us continue. These archons can also slightly alter your perception of the world. Masters of illusion and trickery is known as the Lord of Lies. These archons can also attack their victims in the dream state. We call these episodes nightmares, which is derived from the Old English mare, the name of a demon. Archon means rulers, and these dark archontic forces are the rulers of our world, both metaphorically and literally. It is no accident that a recent study done by Ryan Murphy, an economist at Southern Methodist University, shows that Washington, D.C. is the psychopath capital of the United States. He compared all 50 states, including Washington, D.C. The runner-up, Connecticut, registered only 1.89 on Murphy's scale, compared with the overwhelming 3.48 clocked in by the district. Although these archons are multidimensional entities, they can at moments penetrate the terrestrial atmosphere and terrorize humans. In their physical shape, they are often described as embryonic, like an aborted fetus, drawing parallels to the common image of grey aliens. Their main objective is to keep humans in what the Hindus call avidya, or ignorance, the root cause of suffering. This is to prevent humans from reaching gnosis, knowledge or insight into humanity's real nature as divine, leading to the deliverance of the divine spark within humanity from the constraints of earthly existence. They do this by keeping humans in their lowest form of consciousness, fear, anxiety, etc., keeping them too busy running the metaphorical rat race to break out of the control matrix. Modern man is a prisoner who thinks he is free because he refrains from touching the walls of his dungeon, Nicholas Gomez Davila. You can only be bound by the chains you refuse to see. I implore you to do your own inner and outer research on this subject. It is a very grave matter and demands respect. Thank you for listening. See you next time, mortal.